East Copperbelt Province brings to you The Lens, a program designed to bring insightful information on economics, mining, education, health, tourism, agriculture, environmental issues, sports, entertainment, current affairs, and many issues affecting the well-being of society. Welcome, viewers. Today on Your Lens, we are discussing football, and I'm your host, Tovin Ngombe, and with me to discuss about issues of the games, I have Melvin Melek. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tovin. Good to be back on the show and looking forward to a great show.
Okay, and I have Mo Kaumba. Welcome to the program, sir.
Greetings, Tovin, and greetings to our beautiful viewers. It's always a pleasure to be back on set and looking forward to an interesting show.
And I also have Musonda Chilambwe. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tovin, and I'm enjoying the program.
Indeed, today we shall be looking at the game that Red Arrows and TP Mazembe played over the weekend. And we shall also be looking at the Zambian Premier League games that were played. And we shall also look at the Under-20 COSAFA Cup, which will be played in Maputo, Mozambique. The coach has summoned some players there to start preparing for that game. We shall be looking at that game also. And we shall also look at the English Premier League matches that were played. And also we shall be looking at the fixture for this weekend's encounter on the Zambian scene, the Premier League matches that will be played. And to begin with, I will start with Musonda Chilambwe. Musonda, Zambia, the Zambian clubs, the Envoys, the Red Arrows, they are competing in the CAF competition games. And they played against TP Mazembe over the weekend here at Lake Mwanawasa. We saw Red Arrows giving away the match or the lead to TP Mazembe, the visitors. 2-0, we lost, Red Arrows lost that game. How did you look at the game, and especially on the Zambian scene?
Thank you, Tovin. One thing I've observed is that since the season crossed last season, Red Arrows, they have never rested. So somehow the team is fatigued. They have never had the free time to relax, to reflect on what they went through, despite winning the season, the championship, which we give them a kudos. They started preparing themselves for the CECAFA championship, which was held in Tanzania. So after that preparation, they went to CECAFA and they did well there. They started preparing for the opening of the season and the Champions League games. So for me, the way I've seen it is that Red Arrows, they are over-fatigued with the games they have played so far. Somehow it contributed to their, I can say it, a poor performance against the TP Mazembe. Knowing TP Mazembe, it's a good team, but all I can say is if the coach and the technical bench, they can take some time to rest a bit and prepare the team adequately, I think Red Arrows, they are still up there. They can do it at any given time.
All right. Kaumba, Red Arrows are fatigued. We thought maybe that could be an advantage for them to do better, because from the time the season closed, they were in action in CECAFA, where they even won that encounter. And they have been busy, actually. They even went to Tanzania. They played against Yanga, where they lost as well, 1-0. But can that not be an advantage for them that they were been preparing for the CAF Champions League?
I think for me, having watched that game, I can simply say Red Arrows were just too wasteful in front of goals. They had created so many chances, but I think it's just that they were failing, Brand. The likes of Ricky Banda had so many chances, but I think what they were failing to do was just putting the ball behind the net. That was their undoing, because especially in the first half, Red Arrows played all the beautiful game, and I think the fans came in huge numbers. They supported Red Arrows, but it's only unfortunate that they couldn't take the chances that they had created. Yes, they say football is a game of chances, but I think Red Arrows, it's also what you do with those chances that you create, because at the end of the day, you might have 20 chances and your opponent only have one chance, and they parry it, they put the ball behind the back of the net. What matters at the end of the day is picking that important result, which is a win. And for me, it was really a very, very disappointing outing here at home. I hope Red Arrows can turn the tables around, because I was really expecting a lot. Like you mentioned, Red Arrows have been busy preparing for these games. You mentioned they were playing in the Sekafa, they played in Tanzania, and even the league is currently active. I think that should have given them an advantage, because when you talk about match fitness, then Red Arrows is very much up there, because they haven't rested, they have been busy. And for me, when you talk about fatigue, this team has really been resting, because you find that even when the league opens, teams usually play week in, week out. So fatigue for me is not really the problem, but the problem for me is just that they couldn't just parry the chances that they had. They had created so many chances, like I mentioned, but it was a problem putting the ball behind the back of the net. And you look at TP Mazembe, I think first half they didn't really play the football that we know of them. And like I mentioned, TP Mazembe, of the team that we saw last time when they played against Desco United, is not the same team that we saw that played against Red Arrows. I feel like this team, Red Arrows, had a better chance of picking maximum points, but it was quite a very disappointing outing, especially at home.
Melvin, is it that the bad luck is also befalling on Red Arrows? If you look back in the past, where they used to lose 6-0 against Nyimba of Nigeria, and they lost that encounter back to back. And is it because of, or we can tell, lack of experience, because it's a long time that Red Arrows have competed on such continental stage? Could it be experience now which is at play here, or it's just lack of proper preparations?
Not really lack of proper preparations, Tobin, and also I may not say that lack of experience is also not there, because I think Red Arrows has been a team that has played on a huge platform. They have played on a very big stage. They have played the likes of Nyasa Big Bullets of Malawi. They managed to dispatch. They also played the likes of Yanga. They managed to win the Sekafa in Tanzania. So for me, I think Red Arrows, it has been a good team. It has been a busy team in the Zambia League. Now, coming to the game that they played, TP Mazembe, for me, I think, just like Mo said, watching that game, it was very painful for Red Arrows to lose, because Red Arrows did miss a lot of chances. They had the ball in their hand. They lacked precision in the final third. They would have easily won that game. Looking at TP Mazembe, for me, TP Mazembe looked like a team that wasn't settled in the first half. And the Red Arrows did capitalize. I think in the first half, we saw Red Arrows playing very good football, entertaining football. They entertained the soccer fans who turned up at Levi Mwanawasa Stadium. It's only that they were not clinical in front of goal, and that made them to lose, more especially when it came to the second half, because in the second half, we saw how TP Mazembe, with their experience, they are able now to play their usual game. They pushed Red Arrows and they managed to score that lower clinical shot, which they managed to score. And a few minutes later, we saw another goal coming, and it was 2-0 for TP Mazembe. So Red Arrows, I think they just missed it out because they never just utilized their chances. And I think TP Mazembe did survive because their goalkeeper, I think, was on point, managed to save those clear chance, sure goals that Red Arrows missed. And just like again, Mo said, if you look at Saddam Yusuf and also Ricky Banda, their talisman, I think they were not able to bury the scoring opportunities, and that made them to lose that game. Because if you are playing a team like TP Mazembe, you will fail to utilize those chances, and then you are punished just like they were punished in the second half. They have a huge mountain to climb when they play on Saturday in Lubumbashi.
All right, Vamuzo. In the first half, it was 0-0, and even the second half, it has to take 65 minutes for TP Mazembe to score the goal through their player Oscar Kabwita and also Ibrahim Keita in 70th minutes. And is it not experience at players? I said to Melvin that they wasted the chances. They had all the opportunities, home fans, and everything. Their support was at their side, but they managed to blow out the opportunities which they had.
I like it when you put it that Red Arrows, they were at home at Levi Mwanawasa. For me, when I look at the distance from Congo to Ndola and from Lusaka to Ndola, you'd find that the Congolese supporters who were coming in to support TP Mazembe, they came in numbers compared to the Red Arrow supporters who were coming from Lusaka. And you know how expensive it is to travel to Ndola. So I can put it that Red Arrows, they were almost away, and the TP Mazembe, they were at home. So putting at that they were at home, I wouldn't take it to be like that. It's just like my colleagues have put it. It's when you have a chance, you have to bury it. If you keep on missing those clear chances, don't expect to survive. In the game of football, it's all about putting the ball behind the net. The more you waste chances, just know that at one point or another, you'll be punished for those mistakes you are making and for those chances you are failing to put behind the net.
All right. Kaumba. Vamuzo is saying actually, the TP Mazembe were, it was almost like they are playing at home, as you consider the distance. And the TP Mazembe, they're just in Lubumbashi here, and it's near Ndola than actually even in Lusaka. And next week, Red Arrows are traveling to Lubumbashi. Are we expecting them to do better? But or is it they still have hope that in the game of football anything is possible? Any hope for Red Arrows in Lubumbashi, in the Katanga province?
Firstly, I'll start by answering the question, was Red Arrows at home? That is, of course, with the number of fans that we saw. I'll remind you that you remember when Zesco played TP Mazembe right here at the Levi Mwanawasa Stadium. Zesco United fans were outnumbered by the TP Mazembe fans. So what am I saying? It's about the passion that TP Mazembe have for their team, because they usually travel in huge numbers, and we always know them for that, and especially when they are singing. They even have the anthem. Before the game starts, they'll first sing their anthem, and then after that, it's always amazing. I think despite Red Arrows being at home, or even if Red Arrows was really based right here in Ndola, I don't think Red Arrows, when you compare the fan base, I don't think Red Arrows can match the number of fans that TP Mazembe has. So TP Mazembe has invested hugely in their fan base. That's why I think we usually see them, even when they are playing the likes of Zesco United, who are right here based in Ndola, they will always outnumber the number of fans that the home team has. Now coming to your second question, does Red Arrows have a chance of probably turning the tables around when they travel in Lubumbashi to take on TP Mazembe? I feel it's really a tall order. It's a huge mountain for Red Arrows to climb, because right now They had a huge chance to do that right here at home. Like I said, I felt like that was a game that they could have won even by 4-0. And now that they will be playing in Lubumbashi in front of their fans, because believe you me, the TP Mazembe fans are going to fill up that stadium. It's going to be filled to capacity. So I feel that will also probably send some shivers in the Red Arrows players because of just the noise that they are going to make. But I feel like you mentioned, football is it's a game that can surprise you anytime. Due to the fact that TP Mazembe came here and they won the game, there is a chance that maybe even Red Arrows can go there and win the game. But I don't really see that happening, because probably TP Mazembe might want to use the home ground advantage, and of course the experience that they have. It's really going to be difficult for Red Arrows. Otherwise, for me, I feel like Red Arrows is out.
Melvin, TP Mazembe with their back technical team of the veteran Renford Kalaba and also Nathan Sinkara. We saw them, they were in the background, they actually grooming the TP Mazembe team as the veterans. And also I saw Kriaba there, the former Congo DR national team keeper, and also the former keeper for the TP Mazembe. Do we see hope for Red Arrows in the next encounter this weekend?
Tommy, in the first place, it was interesting to see Renford Kalaba being on the technical bench for TP Mazembe. That was very interesting, and obviously we also did see Kidiaba, the former international goalkeeper for Congo DR. Now, coming to your question, if at all Red Arrows has got any realistic chance of progressing, I would say, just like Mo said, going to Congo DR, Lubumbashi, playing TP Mazembe in their own home ground, I think it will be a very difficult game for Red Arrows due to the fact that they would have the 12th man with the spectators, and when they are playing at home, I think we have seen those huge spectators that would always rally behind TP Mazembe whenever they are playing at home. So Red Arrows going down, carrying 2-0 down, 2-0 deficit, I think it will be very difficult for Red Arrows to win the encounter. And probably, I may also say that I think they wasted the opportunity to progress when they played at Levi Mwanawasa Stadium. I also see that Red Arrows, they may simply be relegated to the CAF Confederation Cup, having been maybe to be putted out in the CAF Champions League. They may just be playing the CAF Confederation Cup, because winning in Lubumbashi, I think it will be a very huge mountain to climb actually.
Indeed, Melvin. Bamuzo, Red Arrows have been the hope for Zambian game, especially when it comes to continental football. And as a country, have not been doing well. So all the hope were in Red Arrows. And now with the current performance, or the performance against TP Mazembe, are we having any hope? Because like in the days of Zesco United and Zanaco, where at one time we had even 4 slots, and now our league is not doing well on the continent. Do we have any hope in Red Arrows now? Or is that the end of the Zambian continental football, especially in the league games?
On that point, I will definitely concur with what Mo said, that they have a huge mountain to climb, because it's a very daunting task to go to Congo and expect to pull up a positive result, which is not possible. Zambian League of late, it has been going down in terms of performance competing with the other leagues due to lack of investment. When you look at the technical bench, the 2 technical benches on Saturday, you look at Red Arrows and the TP Mazembe, you compare the personnel who were there, you'd see that the technical bench for TP Mazembe, it was more experienced compared to ours. You see the Kalabas there, a 2012 champion AFCON, Nathan Sinkala, a 2012 champion, and the other guys. their former goalkeeper is there, Didamba.
Kiyaba.
Kiyaba. He was there on the bench. So those guys, you see that their bench is highly technical compared to our bench. So investment is needed in the Zambian football for us to start performing at that level again. If you remember the days of Unkana, Power Dynamos, Mighty Mfrira Wanderers, when they were performing in those competitions, they would go beyond the third round and reach the finals at some point. Yet nowadays, it's just a pipe, it's a dream which we are failing to achieve. So if people can invest in football, I'm sure we can go back to where we belong.
And talking about the investment, maybe just to echo what my colleague has talked about here. I remember you asked about the 4 slots. I feel it's really going to be difficult for us to retain those 4 slots, looking at the pace where we are moving at. I'll give you this scenario. It's a situation where a player who is doing well in our local league, maybe midway into the season, you find that that player will leave the league and of course will go and join another league where probably he has been offered good monies. So we are remaining with below average players. And that simply means those cream de la cream of the players that are doing well in our local league are being exported to other clubs. And when we meet them, because we are carrying the below average players, we are taking them to go and compete with players who seem to be doing extremely well. That makes it very, very difficult, I think, even for our clubs to compete favorably with them. So it's about investment. Our friends have invested hugely in their league. I remember there was a time we had this debate over the Tanzanian league. People were calling it the Farmers League. But at the end of the day, those guys knew what they wanted to do. They were buying the quality players, bringing them so that they could compete with other clubs. And now you can look at Simba, you can look at Yanga. These are clubs now that seem to be a force to reckon with in Africa. So I think we need to invest a little bit in our local league. Even when we are bringing in players, let's bring in players who are going to add value, not because someone has connected you to that player and of course you want to get a certain benefit from signing that player. I think that will not help us. When we are bringing in a player, let's bring a player who's going to add positive impact to the league and also to the club so that we could compete favorably.
Indeed.
Oh, just to add on what
Yes.
Mo has said, I remember having come across an article on Facebook where Joshua Mtale was being booed in Tanzania.
Yes, yes.
They are saying that these are not the kind of players we want. Why? He's below average to their standards. Yet here at home, we are saying Joshua Mtale is a good player and he should have a number in the national team, which is very unfortunate. We need to push up, and the administrators of Zambian football, they should not be thinking about themselves. They should be thinking about the nation. Where is Zambian football going? Not be thinking about their pockets.
Melvin, the Zambian League, where have we gone wrong in standards?
Yeah, Tobin, just like the two gentlemen have said, it's all starts from sponsorship. Okay, so if you don't invest in the players, if you don't invest in the team, the clubs, then this is the status quo. So just to add on what they have said, last time I did mention that this time around, I think for Zambian League, we are lacking corporate entities to come on board to sponsor these teams. In the old times, we had sponsors of these teams who were able to just to post in a lot of substantial amount of money just to ensure that these clubs were able to tick. I'll give you examples of Zamshu. We had a football club called Zamshu Football Club, and we saw good players who played in that team. But nowadays, all those entities are no longer there. They are defunct. Okay, so we are lacking those corporate entities. I did cite an example when we did watch the Mopani Derby, Mopani tournament. Okay, if we can have such tournaments like we had the Mopani tournament, I think that will increase a lot of one, motivation in the players, and not only that, I think the clubs will feel, having at least a backup coming from these corporate entities. And when we have that, then you mean that you would have been investing in the clubs. Unlike it is the situation, it really demands a lot because clubs are not able. Cite examples in the lower league, national league. I think we are seeing teams failing even to find logistics to travel to far-flung areas to just go and fulfill a league fixture because of what? Lack of sponsorship. So it needs corporate entities, companies to come on board and sponsor these teams. That's when you see these clubs doing fine. Even at the global stage, you see participation, replicating the status of Zambian leagues. Like Coach Muzo said, we have had mighty Mfulira Wanderers, Nkana, Power Dynamos, even reaching the finals. Okay, but nowadays I think we haven't seen such.
All right. Well, viewers, if you are watching us on your lens, we are discussing football, and my guest or my panel to discuss football, the Zambian football, I have Mo Kaumba and also Melvin Melek and Musonda Chilambwe. Let's also now move to Premier League results or some games that were played over the weekend. We had Napsa Stars and Nkana winning that game 1-0, and the goal scored by Hyson Chisala. We also had Zesco, the game which was played in the middle of the week on Wednesday. Zesco drawing 1-1 against Nkwazi Football Club. Gentlemen, Napsa Stars, Kaumba, at one time they were called big spenders, and now this time they don't seem to be doing, even when we are spending more, they are not doing much. Especially now, it's a team sponsored by NAPSA, and I don't see much of the investment in this football again, and they haven't been doing so well in the Premier League. Any reason, any problem? What could be your encouragement to the management there?
Probably my encouragement to the management is I think it's about the recruitment process. Let's try to bring in players who add a positive value to the club. And you need also to identify the areas of need. Don't just sign players because he's coming from wherever, but look at your squad, look at the positions that seem not to be doing fine, and of course identify players who you feel are going to add value to the club, and target those players. And of course the recruitment process as well, make sure that you are monitoring the progression of these players and not just watching one game then from there, because there are players who will show you to say they are good players in one game, but when you try to bring them in, obviously their performances don't usually live up to the standard that you thought they could do. So the best is, I think, let's try to be monitoring these players, and like I mentioned, try to see the areas of need, and let's make sure that I think we bring the Zambian football standards to where it belongs.
All right. Melvin, Nkana, they seem to be coming to the party this time, especially after being the whipping boys in the last season. I think now the Usakiri boys, or the Kalampa, the way they are called, they are doing something now. What have changed now, especially with Nkana, seeing their poor performance in the last season?
Yes, Tony, I'll tell you that even this season, I think Nkana did not start on a sound note. I think they did struggle in the first game. Second game, they just managed to win the third game where they beat Napsa Stars. They go to New away in Lusaka. But all in all, I think we did see Nkana struggle during the start of this 2024-25 league season. Going forward, I think Coach Ian Bakala and obviously Dennis Makinga, who is the assistant coach, I think they have what it takes. They're still very young. They have the impetus to lead the team of that status Nkana, because Nkana is a big team, and for them to be posting maybe bad results, it doesn't show the caliber of Nkana's team. So going forward, for me, I think it's a league. The league has just started. You're in week 4, going to week 5. I think they'll be able to push, and I think playing good football going forward. Maybe the only thing that I did observe with Nkana is also the recruitment of the players. For me, I'm not happy the way they brought in the likes of Idris Ilunga Mbombo. For me, I think he's a player that had his time, and time has elapsed for Idris Mbombo. No wonder you're seeing even Coach Shane Bakala not even starting Idris Ilunga Mbombo in the starting 11. You have seen Ilunga Mbombo coming as a super sub, so it tells you that he is in the evening of his career. So the players that Nkana has acquired also matters most, because the players are all, the few have been recruited young, but most of them, I think, they are not of that to assist Nkana to be where they're supposed to be.
All right, we had this game on Wednesday, Zesco versus Nkwazi. We don't know what has befallen Zesco. After doing so well for so many years, the curve seems to be sliding down. What could be the problem? Is it management or what? They drew 1-1 at home with Nkwazi. Wamuzo.
At Zesco, I'll talk about two things, just like my colleagues have put it. The recruitment of the players and the releasing of the players, it matters. They had let the quality material go, and they brought in the material which is failing to live up to the name of Zesco United. Zesco United is a big name in Zambian football. We were talking about 4 slots in the continental tournaments. It was because of Zesco having reached the semi-final. Yet today Zesco, they are failing to live up to their name. This recruitment process is not about just bringing in someone because you want to benefit or because you know the uncle, you know the father. No, bringing the players who are going to deliver. If you see that the midfield is not operating accordingly, that's when you recruit in the midfield. If the striking force is failing to perform to the expected standard of Zesco, that's when you recruit, not whereby you just recruit anyhow for the sake of recruiting or for the sake of pleasing someone out there. No, this is what is killing Zambian football. So investment has to go where it is due. It is not just a matter of pleasing people. Zesco it's a big team which needs to be revamped before things get to the west.
All right, and Kaumba. We also had Mwana Radiant versus Mighty Mfura Wanderers. Mfura Wanderers winning that game by 2-0, and the Mwana Radiant were at home. What's happening to the Sorez actually Premier? Almost each time they go to Premier League, their performance has been pathetic. They will just end up visiting Premier League, they come back, they come again. What's happening? They seem not to be consistent in their performance.
Yeah, I think they seem to be a team that will win promotion and later on go back to the lower division. It looks like the love affair between Mwana Radiant and the lower league is just inseparable. I feel this is a team that hasn't learned from their past experience. They'll win promotion, but they don't usually invest. They don't bring in players who will be able to help them stay in the Super League. And I feel that has been there and doing. I don't think Lumwana Radiant has got the capacity. I mean, I don't think Lumwana Radiant don't have the capacity to bring in better players and of course players who will be able to assist them, because the competition that you have in the National League and the competition that you find when you are campaigning in the Super League is different. So I expect them to do a little bit of some reinforcements, but I think they are too reluctant, and it looks like they usually believe in what they have. But this has happened, and it has been happening over and over again. But these are lessons that Lumwana Radiant have really failed to work on. Even this time around, I feel if they are not careful, we might just see them again drop back into the lower league, and it will be, this time around, I don't think it will be easy for them to bounce back. So the earlier the better. My probably appeal to the Lumwana Radiance management is, please, when the transfer window opens, this is a time that you have probably to do a little bit of scouting, look at the players who will be able to assist you, and if possible, please try to invest. This is what we've been talking about, investment. Because you can't compare, let's say if I invest 150,000 and Mr. Melek invests 20,000, what I'm going to get out of what I've invested will not be the same with what Mr. Melek will get from what he has invested. And that has been the problem. So invest in your club, and after that, you will reap what you definitely sow. So Lumwana Radiance haven't really been investing much. That's why they have been getting the results. And of course, for Maite usually starts very well. They are a team that will start very well, but of course poor finishers. It's the same story with, maybe I can relate them to the Arsenal in the Premier League. They are a team that will start well. Yes, I know Mr. Merrick is laughing right now and enjoying, yes. They are a team that will start very well, but toward the end, you will see that they will start fighting relegation. They are equally a team that hasn't really learned from their experience. So of course, kudos to them for picking up maximum points, and I hope this will continue for the rest of the league matches.
Let me just just to add on, I would disagree a little bit of what Mo is saying over Mighty Mfulira Wanderers. If you look at the Thursday's game, Mighty Mfulira Wanderers last Thursday managed to beat Lumwana away in Lumwana. Yes, he has clearly highlighted. On the Lumwana part, I think they haven't invested. I would agree with him. We haven't seen Lumwana invest a lot in the team. Coach Buton Sonda for Lumwana, I think, is struggling because he has no materials that will assist him to even stabilize in the Premier League. But if you look at Mfulira Wanderers, I'll tell you that I think Mighty Mfulira Wanderers, they have managed to bring in new players. I'll cite examples of the once player who played for Tondo Western Tigers by the name of Chisopa. He went to play in Southern Province, Pats United, but he's back again at Mfulira Wanderers. And is that adding value? He's the top man in Mfulira Wanderers. Mfulira Wanderers have got also the likes of Collins Makungu, who is the captain. I think for me, even Avram Grant is wasting time not even to call him for the national team because he has been playing very well for Mfulira Wanderers. There is Craig Bieta, who is also very enterprising. He has been scoring goals for fun in Mfulira Wanderers' ranks. Okay, Mfulira Wanderers was also international. At one time, he was called to the national team. We talk of the number 6, who is Kwataine Patson, who is also having a good game for Mfulira Wanderers. Even as they play on Saturday, they are playing Tondo Stars.
Mr. Melek, before you go any further, where did you finish last season?
Yes, Mighty Mfulira Wanderers finished 7th. Okay, but obviously they started, like you put it, I'm not arguing there, you are right, because they struggled a little bit, but they stabilized and they managed to win the last 4 games and they ended finishing number 7, which is good for a team of a legend like Mfulira Wanderers. Let us call a spade a spade. Mfulira Wanderers is a legendary side. It's like
I'm not disputing that Might is not a legend.
United, and I wonder why Ron United is still struggling in the lower bit. So Mfulira Wanderers, I think, has done a little bit some redemption, more especially stabilizing. You know, they came in the league and they managed to say they never went back. They have stabilized in the league, and we see Mighty Mfulira Wanderers even dislodging Zesco United from the top.
Indeed. We also have the under-20 national team preparing for COSAFA Cup, which will be held in Maputo. And Coach Boyd Muranda has summoned about 65 players in the camp. By the way, Zambia is the defending champion, and they have been drawn in the group against Angola, Namibia, and Madagascar. How do you look, Bamuzo, the performance of the under-20, and now 65 of them have been summoned? How do you look at the preparations which they are having now?
Yeah, that is 65. It's a provisional team, which we all know. What we have to be prepared for is, and we have to take into consideration is that Zambia have always dominated in the COSAFA under-20. They have been champions for more than 6 times, if I'm not mistaken.
11 times.
7 times. 11, thank you, 11 times. We look at the likes of Sande Kalunga. They were discovered at that tournament some time back, and these other guys. The under-20 is the nursery of the national team. And one thing we should bear in mind that we should be honest with the age. That's a limit, age limit tournament. We should be honest with the age. Not whereby you take somebody who is 23 years and you say he's under 20. We are not cheating our opponents, we are cheating ourselves. By the time that person we think now that is going to help the senior team, he has already reached the retirement age. The retirement age in football is the moment you go beyond 30, then just know that you are done. So for Boyd Mulwanda, let's hope he's picked the correct age for this team so that when they start competing, they'll be competing as under 20.
All right, Kaumba, the under 20 are preparing to face Angola, Namibia and Madagascar. How do you look at their preparations?
I think whenever you're going into a tournament, preparations is always key. So we expect them to prepare adequately, and especially when you are going in a tournament as defending champions, you should expect that every team wants to collect maximum points against you. So it won't really be easy, and I don't expect the Tekenco bench, not forgetting the players, to be reluctant and of course to underrate any team. Like my colleagues have said, I think COSAFA is this is a tournament that we've come to know how to win it, be it at all levels, the senior team, the under-20s, even with the women's teams. So I expect, I think, the lads to prepare adequately, and also the association, I think, should also motivate these players so that I think we can come out with a very positive result, because it will really be embarrassing for us to exit that tournament in the early stages. So we just need to prepare adequately, and I think this is a tournament that we could go all the way and win it.
Melvin, there have been calls for Zambian football to be more inclusive so that you get the best from all the Zambian regions. And the 65 young ones who have been called to the camp, is this enough for the preparation of such a tournament?
I feel it's enough, more especially if it is catering for all the regions, all the provinces of Zambia. That is enough, and we expect that Coach Boyd Mulwanda will be able to pick a team that will be able to participate and not just to add numbers at the tournament. The senior national team did perform badly. They were put out in the first round. Now we expect the redemption coming from the under-20. Remember, Joseph Sabobo Banda, he was born from the under-20, and we see where he is now. He's playing good football. So we expect that Coach Boyd Mulwanda will be able to pick a team that is going to do a lot for Zambia, and even to win the tournament as it starts in Maputo, Mozambique, because I think Zambia is known to be a team that has performed very well in Southern Africa and the region. We have seen Zambia winning this COSAFA tournament for fun. It is a team that has won this tournament many times than any other Southern African team, even those guest teams that have been invited. So we expect that Coach Mulwanda will be able to pick a good team that will be able to do Zambia proud.
Thank you. Now let's move into the Premier League games. The English Premier League. We had Tottenham and Arsenal. Arsenal winning that game 1-0. We had Wolves losing to Newcastle 1-2. Everton also beating Chelsea 2-1. We had Aston Villa and Bournemouth. Aston Villa winning that game 3-0. We had also the game of the moment, Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest, where Liverpool lost at home 1-0, and I'm told the bus was even lost in the forest there. So, and we also had Crystal Palace beating Brighton Albion by 2-0. How do you look at the games, Vamuzo, especially the game against Liverpool and Nottingham Forest?
That's a tricky question to me. When I say it's a tricky question, I support Liverpool. And I'll be honest, Liverpool played a very good game. They lost that game, not that they didn't play well. They played well. It was just that in the game of football, like my colleague has said in the first place when we were talking about TP Mazembe and Red Arrows, anything can happen in football. You win and you lose. They lost and there should be no excuse. Nottingham Forest, they went there to get the 3 points and they got that they were prepared for. And they were not intimidated by the Anfield support. You know, when you go to Anfield, I've heard even the legendary coaches like Ferguson, Arsene Wenger, Jose Mourinho, they say that those guys, they make noise which disturbs your boys. So Nottingham Forest, I give them kudos. They were not intimidated by the noise at Anfield, and they got the 3 points. That's what is needed in football. You don't fear the name, you go for the game.
Melvin, you didn't intimidate the Nottingham Forest as a supporter for Liverpool. How do you look at that game?
Quite very disappointing, Tobin, because I never expected. I thought that Liverpool, since they had started the league on a sound note, I expected that they would easily beat Nottingham Forest, but it wasn't the case. We saw that Nottingham Forest had a different plan, and they managed to beat Liverpool at Anfield by a goal to nil, and they carried the 3 maximum points. But then we saw that even when they lost, I thought even Liverpool going into another encounter, a crucial one in the UEFA, they redeemed themselves. They managed to beat, at least they posted positive results when they took on AC Milan. Away 3-1, they won. So yes, we buried the 1-0 that we lost to Nottingham Forest. But going forward, I think Coach Slot, I think, is able to turn around things, and I will expect Liverpool to continue winning.
Kaumba. Another game was Everton versus Chelsea, and we saw Chelsea losing again. What's happening to Chelsea this time?
I think that's what makes the Premier League more interesting, because even the team that is at the bottom can beat the team that is on top or in the top 4. So football being what it is, I think it's a game of surprises. I remember there's a South African coach who once said football can kill you real death, and I think that is exactly what we saw with these 2 big clubs in Liverpool and Chelsea. But nonetheless, I think there were some lessons that were drawn from that, and of course we've seen these teams redeeming themselves in the likes of Liverpool, and I think even this coming weekend, of course, we expect probably Chelsea to showcase what they have, because I think the quality that Chelsea has, I think they have got depth in their squad. Those who are on the bench, even those who are in the starting lineup, they have hugely invested. But I think what is important is just for the coach to find the right combination of the starting lineup, putting the players in their right position, and of course getting to know the right partnership that probably can work well, and of course give them the desired results. Otherwise, I think they have a very good team, a better team, that they could actually go all the way and of course finish in the top 4.
Bamuzo, we have seen also the Gunners. They have continued from where they left in the last season. They have continued winning now. They haven't lost any game in the Premier League so far. Beating Tottenham 1-0 away. How do you look at their performance? Are they likely to get the league this time, since they eluded them last season?
You know, when you watch Arsenal for the past 3 seasons, you'd see that they are a team with a vision and they are on a mission. They are chasing the Premier League. They want to win the Premier League. And this is the 20th year since they last won the Premier League. So for me, I would say Arteta has assembled a very good team, which is getting the results which are needed for a team to win the Premier League. And there's one thing I've noticed about Arsenal is their athleticism. They keep on running until they get the results. Unlike other teams, when they go and get stuff, they give up, they drop the tempo of the game, they sit back and they start defending. But for Arsenal, they are not such kind of a team. Against Tottenham, which is a local derby, North London derby, they were missing Odegaard and Declan Rice. That's the engine of their midfield. Yet they didn't show that they are missing those two key players. They went on and they beat Tottenham at home, which is a plus for them. Arsenal, we should put them to be among the contenders of winning the Premier League.
All right. Let's look at also we come back to the games, the Zambian Premier League, the games that will be played this Saturday, where everyone are expected maybe to come and watch their respective teams. We shall have Nchanga Rangers versus Zesco United. That game will be at 15 hours at Nchanga Stadium. We will have Forest Rangers versus FC Muza at Dollar Hill, right here in Ndola. Or we shall have also Green Eagles versus Napsa Stars at Independence Stadium in Choma. So the Napsa Stars will be traveling to Choma in Southern Province. We have also Zanaco versus Power Dynamos, and that game will be played in Lusaka at Sunset Stadium. We have Mufurira Wanderers versus Mtondo Stars, and this game will be at Shinde Stadium in Mufurira. So Mighty Mufurira Wanderers will be hosting Mtondo Stars. Green Buffaloes and Atletico Lusaka, they will be battling it out at Edwin Imbwara Stadium in Skanze Police Camp there. So you can make a date with the Green Buffaloes there. So Ndeni Football Club and Cow Warriors will be hosted here in Ndola at Lev Mwanawasa Stadium. And we have also Nkana FC versus Nkwazi at Nkana Stadium. And I'm sure the Nkana fans will be happy to go and fill the stadium and cheer their teams now. So we shall also have Rumwana Radiance versus Red Arrows. That game has been postponed because Red Arrows, they will be busy with continental football in Lubumbashi, where they will meet TP Mazembe in Katanga province. So those will be the fixtures for this weekend. So make a date so that we can come, go and watch your respective team and see the Zambian Premier League in action. Melvin.
Yes, Toby.
Yes, Karampa, they will be hosting Nkwazi. How do you look at that game?
A tricky game for Nkana. The fact that if you look at Nkwazi, Nkwazi has been a team that is so stubborn when they are playing big teams. You remember Nkwazi just on Wednesday, they managed to drew 1-1 against Zesco United at the magnificent Levi Mwanawasa Stadium, and they will be playing in Nkana. Now, as I said, Nkwazi are always stubborn. Okay, and Agri Chiangi, who is now the coach of the police-sponsored outfit, I think he would want to redeem Nkwazi so that if you look at the way they started, they never started on a positive note. I think they struggled, they recorded a loss, a draw, and they managed again to record a draw when they took on Zesco United. Now they are playing in Nkana, and I remember at some point in one of the leagues, I think we did see Nkwazi beat Nkana at Nkana Stadium. So it will be interesting to see how Dennis Makinga and Ian Bakala, the coach for Nkana, how they are going to play their tactics so that they can just see Nkwazi off. Otherwise, if they will underlet Nkwazi, I see a positive result coming from the police-sponsored outfit.
Yeah, we see also another Kopara derby there, Nchanga Rangers versus Zesco United. Kaumba, how do you look at that game, especially Zesco with the struggles they're going through?
I think that would be an interesting game. We have Nchanga Rangers, who have been, I think, who did start the league, I think, on a very high. They did record some positive results. I can say it is two teams that have started the league on a very bright note, meeting at week 5. And that makes actually this game more interesting. And of course, like Mr. Melvin mentioned, Zesco are coming from a 1-0 draw at home and facing against Nchanga away, I think makes the game even more exciting, because we expect, I think, Abena Chiwempala to turn up in huge numbers to support their team. And it's just about probably redemption time for Zesco United, because I think they are one of the unbeaten teams so far. They had, I think, 100% record prior to them meeting Nkwazi, but they still maintain, I think, the top of the league with 10 points out of the 4 games that they have played so far. So I think this is a team that wants to make sure that they maintain the lead on top of the league, but meeting, I think, in Changa Rangers, who have got, I think, players who are doing exceptionally well. You've got at the back the likes of Sidin Kasanda. I think not an easy player to go against. If you are given, I think, him, then you should know that you're going to have, I think, a tough time at work. So it's really going to be an interesting game, but for me, I feel like this is not a game that will probably produce a lot of goals. If it's something to go by, maybe a team that will win will just carry the day by a 1-0, a slender 1-0 scoreline.
Before
Yes.
when Coach Muzo comes in, just to comment on the same game where Zesco will be playing away to Changa Rangers. I think for me, I feel that this is a game that Coach Swale should prove himself if he wants to be at the helm of Zesco United. Because if you look at the game that Zesco United have played, they have managed only to be slotting in only 1 goal. They have won the 3 games, but they have been winning by a goal to nil. This is the more reason why they found a stubborn team like Nkwazi. Okay, Nkwazi started, they scored, and then they equalized, and the game ended. So they are not scoring a lot of goals. Now they are playing Brave Changa Rangers, I think, who, just like Mo said, they started the league on a sound note. They managed to post 2, and then they managed to lose 1 away in Lusaka. But again, they redeemed themselves. They managed to win another game, which makes them an interesting encounter when the Zesco travels to Chingola. He has talked of former Muza Kasanda, who's defender. I think he has been enterprising the defender for Changa Rangers, and Zesco United. I would only wish Siwale to play his card very well, because playing Brave Changa Rangers, I think it will be a very tricky encounter, and I see it either a draw or Changa Rangers winning.
All right, Bamuzo. The Bankers, Danako, they will be hosting Power Dynamos at Asante Stadium. How do you look at that game, especially that these are one of the power of teams that we have in the Premier League so far?
Power of teams on paper. On the pitch, teams with mixed results. There's no consistency among the 2 teams. For Power Dynamos, I don't know what has gone wrong. Oswald Mutapa is failing to deliver. So this is why I'm saying mixed results. He has only recorded 1 positive result. The rest have been draws. So power of a team of such magnitude getting such kind of results, it is not positive. As for Zanaco, this has been their trend for some time now. They have been failing to live up to their name as Sensational Zanaco. Now, I don't know where I can put them. The Bankers, they have been failing to live up to their name as one of the big boys. They have gone back to the days when they were called the Draw Kings. When they get a draw for them, it seems to be a positive, which is very unfortunate. We need positive results from these 2 teams.
Indeed. Another interesting game there, we have Forest Rangers and FC Muza. Kaumba, we haven't seen much of Muza of last season and the other year, the way they came up with a bang. They seem to be, the fire seemed to be quenching. You don't know what is happening.
I think a lot seemed to be happening at Muza. Like you mentioned, the Muza that we saw last season is no longer the Muza that we have been graced with this time around. I think Muza has lost quite a good number of players, and I feel those players have not really been replaced, and I think most of the players seem to have left the club despite having contractual obligations with the club. I remember there is this Mwanza guy who he still has a running contract with FC Muza, but of course the guy just decided to leave them, and we hear he's somewhere on the Copper Belt with a certain club that I will not mention. Not only that, I think we saw when the league just started, FC Muza didn't have their top scorer in Andrew Piri, of whom it was believed that he was also trying to force his way out. And of course with the man that we talked about, Kasanda, equally leaving them. So I think they have lost most of the key players who really helped them last season. That's why even results, I think this time around, it has been very difficult for them to get the positive results. They managed to bring in their coach, Lamek Banda, but I feel he still hasn't settled in well, probably because of the quality or the players that he has found with FC Muza. At FC Muza. But of course, taking on Forest Rangers, who equally have not been all that good. They have been blowing warm and cold here and there, posting mixed results. I feel this is going to be an interesting game, and of course very difficult to predict. But maybe it might just end in a draw, because these two teams really have struggled so far. The league has just started, and of course they haven't really hit the ground running, and we hope to see otherwise an interesting and entertaining game this Saturday.
All right, gentlemen, times seem not to be on our side, and maybe before we end the program, your last words and also your prediction between the Red Arrows and TP Mazembe in Lubumbashi, Katanga province, the game which will be played this weekend.
Like I said in the first place, I don't see Red Arrows getting positive results in Lubumbashi. I would go for a 4-0 bashing to TP Mazembe.
4-0 bashing,
Yes.
What's the prediction?
Very interesting predictions there. I feel, like I mentioned, Red Arrows, I don't see them overturning the tables. They had a chance to do that here at home. But of course, going away in Lubumbashi, I feel like they're going to be wired probably, but not by a 4-0 scoreline like my brother there has predicted. I would probably go for a 1-0 win for TP Mazembe, because Red Arrows will want to put up a good fight.
Melvin.
Yes, a difficult game for Red Arrows. It will be a tough encounter playing in Lubumbashi. So my predictions for that encounter, I give Red Arrows a draw, 1-1.
All right. Melvin saying it's a draw. And anyway, viewers, you have heard for yourself, and there are many games we have actually talked about that are coming on, especially over this weekend. Be on the lookout to see which team you'll be supporting and which team you'll be watching over the weekend. And we have come now to the end of our program, The Lens. On my panel, I had Mo Kaumba, Melvin Merek, and Musonda Chilambwe. It has been good being with you, gentlemen. Thank you so much. And I've been your host, Tovin Ngombe, and on behalf of my technical team in the background, I say goodbye. See you on the next program. Your Lens coming right here on the Copper Belt province from Indora Studios. Bye-bye.